Hey everyone, I have a brand new MCU mutant scoop about Cyclops in the MCU and what that's going to mean, what that's going to look like. So first off, I just want to say thanks for everyone who's supported and been interested in this channel, and have been following. There's been some criticism about some of the scoops I've done in the past where they're like, oh, there's no casting news yet, or there's no official sources corroborating this. This is just speculation. No, this wouldn't make sense for this reason for them to introduce that. So back in the fall, I had a scoop saying that Storm was going to make her debut in Black Panther 2, and that Rogue was going to make her debut in Captain Marvel 2. And both of these things have since been corroborated by Mikey Sutton, as well as other sources. So I'm a scooper, obviously. I've done scoops where I'll have a few different sources. So this Rogue and Storm source I had before Mikey Sutton dropped anything, and then I really look up to him. I think he's got a lot of great connections in the industry, and he's been proven to be very reputable and correct about things and be the first to scoop a lot of things. So I was quite pleased that I was even able to get a scoop out before him, and for him to corroborate it's just like a dream come true. So in the same vein, I have been sitting on a scoop about Cyclops in the MCU and how they're going to develop him, and I didn't make the video yet because I wanted to get some more corroboration, and then sure enough, Mikey Sutton scoops these other scoops that are laterally related that do confirm a lot of this stuff. So I feel confident coming out now with this scoop about Cyclops. So just like in the Avengers and everything, what made it such a great movie and print so much money, so to speak, at the box office was the fact that they had all these characters, and all of these characters had certain characteristics and traits. So Captain America, for instance, was a man out of time, that he always acted with integrity, that he was a strategic, tactical strategist, and then he always felt kind of lonely and always wanting to start a family and everything. So in the same way, they're doing all these character profiles for all these X-Men too. Once again, heavily drawing from the comics, but developing it to the next level up of professional writing skills. And Cyclops is no exception. So one thing that Kevin Feige looked at with Cyclops is that they want to develop him a little bit better than the Fox gave him credit for. So as part of that, they're looking at what defines Cyclops, what are his drivers, his motivators, and essentially Cyclops is going to be about a few different things. Number one, it's going to be family. What family means to Cyclops and what his story arc will unfold based around that. Number two, leadership. What it means for him to lead the X-Men and lead in other situations as well. And then number three, just love, and him being kind of like a star-crossed lover that eventually things work out for. So there's going to be a few different phases within the X-Men overarching story arc, similar to how there's the MCU phases. So within the phase of X-Men, there's going to be roster change-ups just like they do throughout the comic book saga. And so as part of that, there's going to be early Cyclops development, which will just be him finding a surrogate father in Professor Xavier, since he lost his own biological parents in a plane crash and only saved his brother Havoc in himself, or Alex Summers in himself, via parachute. So Professor Xavier is going to sort of fill that father role, and I don't have confirmation on this yet, but it does seem like there is interest in potentially doing the Corsair and the Starjammers storyline, and eventually have Cyclops come to meet his father and hash out a lot of that stuff, and deciding, is my biological family more truly my family, or is the X-Men, who have always stood by me and shared a lot of the same social issues with me and other issues and banded together, are they sort of my family, or is it both? And they're also going to be dealing with this maybe abandonment feeling of, Alex is adopted, but he wasn't adopted by the same family, so they got separated, and they're going to be reunited. So that was something that I was kind of sitting on, and lo and behold, the Cosmic Wonder just scooped a Mikey Sutton exclusive, where he talks about the fact that Havoc is going to be in the second X-Men movie in the Savage Land. So it makes sense that, holy crap, we're being reunited, and now we're fighting together as a team. The X-Men is my family, but you're especially my family, both as a fellow X-Man and as my biological brother. So Cyclops is also going to himself want to be sort of a father figure in a role and a leader, just as Professor Xavier was to him, and so Professor Xavier is going to groom him to be the leader of the X-Men, and eventually down the road, he's going to want to leave that to have a normal family, and then he's going to debate, which is really more important to me, or can I have both? Maybe can I be a leader of the X-Men and take my leadership back from whoever the then leader is, whether it's going to be Storm or someone else, or will I have to just be a father. So the first way that plays out is when he loves Jean Grey, he's going to marry her, and they're going to start a family, and then, Jean Grey dies, and that's going to throw a wrench in it. And then secondly, he's going to rediscover Madeline Pryor, who, for those of you who have read the comics, know that she's the clone by Mr. Sinister of Jean Grey. And so he's going to have a kid with Madeline Pryor, who's going to be Nathaniel Summers. This was another part of the Cyclops scoop that I had been sitting on because I was waiting for the corroboration, and I was planning to go forward with this even without that. But lo and behold, Mr. Sinister is going to be a villain in the second X-Men movie about the Savage Land, because he's going to be the one that changes Karl Lycos into Sauron. And so it makes perfect sense now. Now you have Havoc, now you have Mr. Sinister, Madeline Pryor is next. Scott and Madeline Pryor have a kid together, Nathaniel Summers, or Nathan Summers, and basically he gets infected with the technovirus, and they have to send him to the future to get him cured, and he becomes Cable. Additionally, there's an alternate timeline where Jean Grey doesn't die, and Cyclops and Jean Grey have a daughter, Rachel Summers, who becomes the second Phoenix. Now, because the Phoenix storyline has been adapted a couple of times, there is some discussion about, do we do it again in the MCU? Is it going to just seem like the same thing over again? But then they did reboot Fantastic Four twice, and then they're going to reboot it a third time in the MCU. So maybe they will. Maybe they'll treat it like a fresh take, or maybe they'll have another explanation for why Jean Grey dies. And maybe Rachel Summers will be the first Phoenix, and that'll be different enough for them to do that. So there's additional corroboration or confirmation from that as well. Mikey Sutton scooped that they're thinking about making an Excalibur movie, probably between X-Men 2 and X-Men 3, when the X-Men are being told that they have to disband by the U.S. government. So Nightcrawler, Rachel Summers, Phoenix, Shadowcat will go off, join up with Jamie Braddock, Captain Britain, who's already been established in some Easter eggs that'll pay off, and they'll form Excalibur. Betsy Braddock can be introduced as part of that as well, and then she can be Psylocke in the X-Men. There'll be this weird tension where Cyclops will be like, why does Rachel look so familiar? And Rachel wanting to tell her dad, like, hey, I'm your daughter, but I'm not Madeline Pryor's daughter, or maybe I should just keep that to myself. So just to recap, Cyclops is going to get a lot more development in the MCU. It's going to expand upon his different types of family with his brother Alex Summers. Potentially they'll introduce Corsair and the Starjammers down the road. Definitely with Jean Grey and wanting to start a family, Madeline Pryor and them starting a family, and the offspring from both of those situations, Nathaniel Summers and Rachel Summers. And hopefully, therefore, we will be getting Cable in the MCU, whether they end up importing Josh Brolin or getting a new actor. And if they do get a new actor, maybe Deadpool will make a quip about, like, hey, you're much taller than the last Cable. He'll break the fourth wall or something. So that's one part, just the whole family section, his whole leadership development, and his surrogate father relationship with Professor Xavier. Mr. Sinister has been corroborated now, so he's going to obviously make Jean Grey's clone. Madeline Pryor is coming, therefore, Rachel Summers, and Nathaniel Summers, who they can later reintroduce as Cable. So guys, are you as excited as I am excited for these introduction of a better just story arc and development of Cyclops and his character and his motivators and his drivers? That's a lot more three-dimensional than it was in the Fox run of the movies. And are you excited for these other characters? Mr. Sinister, Havoc, Madeline Pryor, Jean Grey, Rachel Summers as the Phoenix. What are you looking forward to the most? Please leave the comments below. Thank you so much. Thanks for Mikey Sutton for scooping a couple of these things to help corroborate this story. So now I feel like I have a little bit more connective tissue that's confirmed together with my other sources. And thank you for everyone. Subscribe to stay notified. I'm going to be doing a lot more X-Men, MCU, and Mutant MCU videos, including one that's going to be every appearance of Deadpool planned for like phases 4 and 5, both outside of the MCU, inside the MCU, and so on and so forth. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Stay geeky, fam.